So my dad, Charles Stover, was from Oakley, Kansas, and when he got noticed to serve in the war, he thought he was going to be shipped out to Okinawa like so many folks in that era were. And lo and behold, he landed up in a place called Los Alamos. Kind of what you read about in the book 109 East Palace, and did not even know where he was. And so he was designated as staff sergeant. He was in charge of the overall food services. In fact, there's a really neat picture where he's in a suit with all the, what reminded me of Harvey Girls at Fuller Lodge. But my mom must have already been up here working. She came from the valley. Her family was very, very poor, 9 kids. She tells a story where all the girls slept in the bed sideways. She didn't know that there was a depression, but when Los Alamos came, she realized what a great presence it had for her in terms of a job. So the story is, my mom's in the helping out in the kitchen, one of the sites, and my dad points to his buddy and says, "She's the one." And that started their courtship, and they then worked together and built a successful business at La Mesita. So they were true partners from day one in the food service. My dad was called Smokey, and I always thought it was because he smoked cigarettes, but it wasn't. It was because there's actually a cartoon, and it's in the municipal building. There's a cartoon called Smokey Stover, and so that is how he's always been called Smokey. I was started there when I was probably a baby. They had me there, and the story goes that I was always getting into trouble, and they would put me in the back with a pickle can, and in those days the little girls always wear these really short dresses, and the pickle can was a metal, hard metal can, and my mom would forget about me and then remember to come out, come get me when I was out of timeout. And I would get up and there'd be a big ring around the bottom of my legs because I had been sitting on the pickle can. Later on though, I got to wait on tables, run the cash register, peel potatoes in the back, make the chicken in the back, watch my dad, how he would always be able to cut a chicken so fast and then wrap it all up. The great thing about working at the restaurant was, of course, meeting all the people. When I did my first county council campaign, people would say, "Well, are you Smokey's daughter?" And I'd say, "Yes." "Oh, okay, well then I'll vote for you." So that was probably one of the reasons I got elected the first time, was the good memories, because most of the customers for the restaurant came from Los Alamos. There was nothing in between, and that was a respite for folks. Folks would even come from having their babies in Santa Fe. Crick Corian talks that was the first place they took their daughter to, was La Mesita restaurant. Where my mom lived, if you know anything about rural New Mexico, it's like the families, everybody kind of had an acre of land, so it was my uncle, my aunt, my uncle, my aunt, my grandma, just down this stretch of roads, the washboard roads. But all those kids went to a Rancho elementary school, and my dad put me in Pojoaque Elementary School, and I was crushed because everybody was going to the little school in El Rancho. And come to find out, a couple of years later, El Rancho school was closed and they moved everybody to Pojoaque. So I got to be with my friends. So I graduated from Pojoaque High School in 1977, and then went on to business college, Santa Fe Business College, and was out in 1979. Ironically, my dad passed away in February of 79, and then December of that year, 79, my brother was killed by a drunk driver on a Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. So my mom, very strong woman, because they had been in the business for probably 40 years with the restaurant, decided to keep it going. She wanted to keep working. She was a young woman. She was 50, I think 52 or 53 when my dad passed away. My dad would do the bookkeeping. My mom would get up at 5 in the morning and go make pies and cakes and do all that stuff. and get it ready, and my dad would cook, and then he'd come home in the afternoons and do the bookkeeping. So I took on all of that aspect for the business. In fact, we even set up a Keogh plan for the employees.